Good morning all and welcome to lesson 4. Today we're going to look at constraints. Constraints allow you to organize your buttons and labels and different boxes on the screen. You can think of it as like the alignment. When you right align, center align and left align in other computer software. So for right now I have my buttons here. I've got top, middle and bottom, and I can just move it up there a little bit, and then I can move this one down, and then when I run it over here, I'm going to run it on an iPhone 11, you will see my app. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. It looks like the buttons are in the right place. The problem here is that there's no constraints on these. As I change device, the buttons will actually move. So now I'm going to run this on an iPad and you'll see the difference and the problems that can happen. So I'm going to change, I'm going to run this iPad Pro. Oops, I forgot to press the run button. So you can clearly see the problem. They are centered on an iPhone 11, but once we move to the iPad, they are not centered. What I wanted was the top at the top in the middle, I wanted the middle in the middle, and I wanted the bottom at the bottom, centered. So let's go back and put these constraints on the buttons. So to get them into the middle, I click top, I go down here to the align tool, I click on it, and horizontally in the center, and I'll add that constraint. So we want it in the middle, okay? Then we want the middle button, once again, horizontally in the center. And same for the bottom one, horizontally in the center. So now I've told all three buttons to be in the middle of the page. So when I run this here, they should all be in the middle. Now we haven't done anything vertically yet, but we've done horizontal. So let's run it here and see what happens. Now all three are actually in the middle, but because we didn't do anything on the vertical, it stayed, they're all at 0. So let's go back and fix that. So the middle one is the easiest one to fix. And you know, XCode is actually telling you about this problem here because it's showing you on all three buttons with the red line that you have a problem. They're saying this doesn't make sense to us, you have to fix this. So I'll fix the middle one first, and I am going to vertically center it. I'm going to add that. You can see here, although I have a horizontal constraint, it doesn't show here. This is just for adding constraints. It doesn't show your old constraints. We have this centered horizontally, and now we are going to vertically center it. So let's add that. And then to see our constraints, we can click on the ruler tool here, and you can see now I have a horizontal constraint and I have a vertical constraint. So let's run this one again. Now this is on the iPad, and now the middle button is good. Okay, so now we've got to work with the top and the bottom. What I want them to be is the top to be about here and the bottom to be the same height from the bottom. So I'm going to click on the top, and the condition this time I'm going to use the constraints button here. I'm going to say I want it 150 pixels from the top. I'm going to add the constraint. Okay, then for the bottom, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to say 150 from the bottom, so it'll be consistent the top and bottom buttons. And I add that constraint. Now you'll notice the red lines are gone, which is good. It's telling you this makes sense. And then if I click on top, I can see over here it's got a horizontal and a vertical constraint. Click on middle, it's got a horizontal and a vertical constraint, and I click on bottom, you've got a horizontal and a vertical constraint. Remember to click on the ruler tab. It's called the SAIS inspector to see the constraints here. Now let's run this on our iPhone, or sorry, our iPad. Looks good. Let's change the phone. Let's go for an iPhone 11 Pro Max. Run it again. And as you can see, it's good on the iPhone as well. So with the constraints, we control the position of the buttons and allows your app to cross platforms. So you can use it on different devices. Okay, and remember, it's these two buttons down here. It's the Align tool. Sorry, just let me click here. It's the Align tool and the Add New Constraints buttons you use to do this. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.